The Russell Westbrook trade dramas have recently just yet again heated up, with it currently now being reported that the Golden State Warriors have contacted the Houston Rockets about a potential Russell Westbrook trade, and that's all being reported by Shams. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to talk about with you guys. Again, this time actually revolving around Russell Westbrook and a team I didn't really think was going to be too interested in him at all, but in the Golden State Warriors. And I'm going to be a little bit honest here, I am slightly confused on why the Golden State Warriors would actually want Russell Westbrook. I mean, their guards are kind of filled out. Like, I mean, they have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson at the point guard and shooting guard. And there was also rumors they would actually be looking to potentially draft LaMelo Ball at pick 2 to kind of play a bit of a Sean Livingston role, and then obviously succeed, Steph Curry potentially in the next 4 or 6 years. Of course, that is still very highly rumored, but now we do have Russell Westbrook news, which is, again, kind of weird and kind of feeds into the theory and rumor that I've been putting up, that I genuinely believe that the Golden State Warriors could still be interested in playing a very small ball type of lineup and playing Klay Thompson rather at the small forward position. I've been very vocal before on how I don't think Klay Thompson would work too great at the small forward position, even when they did get D'Angelo Russell to the team. But again, trading D'Angelo Russell for Andrew Wiggins, I actually don't think was the worst trade out there. I know a lot of people kind of were pretty skeptical on the trade, but I thought getting rid of D'Angelo Russell, who didn't really make too much sense to the team, and bringing in a player like Andrew Wiggins, who, yes, is overpaid, but he still does have, some slight trade value. Not just that, they were able to get a couple of pretty nice, decent picks in it for a return. I believe they were protected, but I think there is still a chance they could actually get those picks in the near future. But again, Andrew Wiggins to the team is also kind of bringing back that Harrison Barnes type of player that they've been missing for the last couple of years. Yes, obviously having Kevin Durant was really good and all, but I feel like, maybe just having a small forward that can consistently hit threes while playing decent defense off the bench would have been a nice thing for them to have. And, now that, I guess, Kevin Durant's gone, a player like Andrew Wiggins really does fulfill that small forward, type of role. Andrew Wiggins, when he is trying, can be a pretty nice defender, but when he's not, he is just very inconsistent on that. Is just the way to summarize Andrew Wiggins. Not just that, I feel like, again, Wiggins is definitely very inconsistent on the 3 ball, but I do expect him to very much improve this offseason. He'll definitely know that he'll be being turned more into a catch-and-shoot, scoring machine type of player if he does, continue to remain with the Golden State Warriors. So, in knowing that, I do expect him to kind of practice that this offseason. But honestly, if I was Andrew Wiggins, I wouldn't be too confident on being on the Golden State Warriors at all, as it does look like, yeah, they are very content on potentially trying to bring a small ball lineup, in. And I feel like Russell Westbrook would definitely be an interesting option. So the way that it would probably work is Steph Curry would guard the point guard position, Russell Westbrook would, guard the shooting guard position, and Klay Thompson would guard the small forward position. But when it comes to offense, I would assume that Russell Westbrook would have the ball in his hands the majority of the time. I mean, let's be honest here, you're not going to have the ball in Steph Curry's hands, especially if Russell Westbrook's a very inconsistent shooter. I mean, I would say it would be 60%, or maybe even, I'd say maybe 50%, 45% in Westbrook's hand, maybe like 30% or something like that in Draymond's hand, and 20 to 30% or whatever could potentially be in Steph's hand. Not, just basically because of the fact that Draymond is very used to playing that point forward type of role, and the reason he kind of had a really bad year was because he was playing that point forward type of role with barely any shooters around him, and I feel like that's why he is a decent player, is because when the team has shooters, he can play to his best, he can be a playmaking, a forward that also provides very good defense and hustle. So, again, I don't really feel like Westbrook would be good for the Warriors at all as well, is because not only does he take time from having the ball in Steph Curry's hands, but he also takes a lot of time from having the ball in Draymond Green's hands, which is just a no-go. Like, I mean, if they're going to want to keep Draymond Green there is no point having Draymond Green if he's not going to have the ball in his hands for at least 40% of the game, which is what he usually, does. He usually has it more, 40% or more, throughout the time he has been in, with the Golden State Warriors. You can't make Draymond play off-ball, so it just doesn't work like that. He's not a consistent three-point shooter. He's not a consistent mid-range shooter. His role is to be a good defender, a good leader, and a good, playmaker. So, bringing in Russell Westbrook really does diminish, I would say, Draymond Green's role as a player. So, I don't really feel like I can see this Russell Westbrook trade really going ahead, unless, again, either Draymond or Russell Westbrook decides to develop their three-point jumper and maybe become a more consistent three-point shooter. Look, I have talked about how, Ben Simmons would be a good fit for the team, but he does kind of fit into the same criticisms that I have for Russell Westbrook, as they both can't really shoot. And same with Draymond Green on that. But the reason why I feel like Draymond Green and Ben Simmons would actually work a lot better than Westbrook and Green would is because Simmons is so versatile. He can play every single position. If you want, you can play him at small ball center. He will go and do that role for you. Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, can play point guard, shooting guard, and even really small forward on defense. I mean, he's definitely played it a little bit with his time on the Houston Rockets. But on offense, he's just a point guard. He's just a point guard. That's what he is. He's not a consistent shooter. He's got a good mid-range, don't get me wrong on that. But the Golden State Warriors aren't necessarily a mid-range team. So, it doesn't really make too much sense for me, how I see it, for the Golden State Warriors to go after Russell Westbrook at all. I don't really feel like they will. But I feel like this is a great opportunity for Houston as well, because Houston could definitely try and get that pick 2 and Andrew Wiggins off, Russell Westbrook. So, off the Golden State Warriors for Russell Westbrook rather. Now, I've been critical as well, where I don't believe Russell Westbrook has a very high trade value, but I also don't believe Andrew Wiggins has too much of a high trade value. I did speak on earlier that there could be a couple teams interested in Wiggins, but no team is going to offer them exactly much at all. In fact, if teams were going to get something out of it, they maybe want a pick in return just for taking on that terrible contract of Andrew Wiggins, if it was going to be a pretty interesting situation like that. The way, I kind of see, which I think would be a good trade for both teams, as if maybe so what I would assume is, this would be a good trade in my opinion. The Houston Rockets give up Russell Westbrook and Robert Covington for Andrew Wiggins, pick 2, and maybe a young player like Jordan Poole, and maybe another pick or something like that here and there. The reason why this works so well, in my opinion, is you could say the Warriors are giving too much for Robert Covington and Westbrook, but I actually disagree on that. I believe Robert Covington will be definitely targeted by every single team in the league. He is one of the most underrated players. In my opinion, he was the second best player in the playoffs for the Houston Rockets. He was the best player all season for the Minnesota Timberwolves when, again, Cat was injured a lot. Wiggins, I still believe Covington was probably better than Wiggins, during the season as well when he was on Minnesota. I mean, Covington averages more than 15 points per game on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he does that in having the ball half the times than what Andrew Wiggins would. Not just that, he is an exceptional defender, way better than Andrew Wiggins. He can guard small forward, power forward, has even guarded small ball center with the Houston Rockets. He is a very, very underrated player, and he's on a really cheap contract on $11 million per season. So, I feel like the Warriors would definitely target him, and it makes sense for both teams. If we're hearing that the Houston Rockets are going to potentially blow up the team, James Harden's future's uncertain, he could still be requesting a trade, then, again, you're getting rid of Westbrook, you're getting rid of Covington, who, even though you would love to keep Covington, you're still not going to knock back that pick number 2. That pick number 2 could be a LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, or James Wiseman, your future cornerstone player. And then as well, you bring in Andrew Wiggins, who, look, is not a really good young player anymore. He's getting into the mid-age, starting to go on his prime of his career. But still, Andrew Wiggins can ball. He can definitely be a pretty decent player here and there as well. And would definitely still, I would say, bring Houston fans in, as, again, watching a player like Andrew Wiggins is still a pretty decent thing, as when Wiggins is on, he is a very good player. So again, if they clear all these players, they could do what an OKC team did a year ago or so, where they traded, Westbrook, Paul George, all these players, and brought in a bunch of picks and stuff. again, if they trade James Harden for Josh Richardson and Tobias Harris and a couple picks, which has been rumored to do, if I was a Houston Rockets fan, I would definitely love to go watch a game of LaMelo Ball at point guard, potentially Josh Richardson at shooting guard, Andrew Wiggins at small forward, Tobias Harris at power forward, and whoever they decide to play at center. They'll probably go and sign at center, and maybe they could even have players like PJ Tucker, etc. off the bench. That is still a team that could definitely compete for the playoffs. I mean, we saw OKC do it. Not just that, Tobias Harris, people forget, led the Los Angeles Clippers to the playoffs. Andrew Wiggins is still a decent player. LaMelo Ball is a very good young player as well. Again, Josh Richardson is a very good player. I'm sure they'll find a center here and there. Could still have players like PJ Tucker, etc. maybe come off the bench. It could be a very, very interesting team, and a team that I definitely would be really excited to maybe even go and watch. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the latest NBA news and NBA content. Of course, don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you guys think that the Houston Rockets should actually go out and potentially trade for maybe an Andrew Wiggins type player? Should the Golden State Warriors trade for Russell Westbrook? Again, I'd definitely really like to know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. But of course, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel. Don't forget to check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. Links for them will all be in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.